right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A scary wake-up call for City SC fans staying the night in a downtown hotel.
So it's scary. I mean, you think you're safe in a hotel room on the 9th floor.
The disturbing discovery they made in their bed. Battle-tested. Ruby Lee gives another knockout performance on national TV while greeting her fans back home in Missouri.
But first tonight, a widespread hard freeze is developing right now as temperatures drop below freezing. Why tonight isn't even the coldest night this week.
About an hour ago, a freeze warning went into effect for several of our eastern counties. If it didn't get below freezing at your house last night, it will tonight. Good evening. I'm Mike Bush, and Allred has the night off. We are in a weather alert. Let's get straight over to Weather First Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with how cold it will get overnight.
You know, this morning some of us were down into the upper 20s. Those temperatures will be a few degrees colder, and the areas from St. Louis east and southeast that were in the low 30s, right around, but maybe not right below freezing. Well, you're looking at those temperatures for the first fall freeze tonight in all locations, dropping into the 20s. You're already there. Farmington's 29, Sullivan's 28. The Chesterfield Valley's at 27, so is Warrenton. Alton's 28. Notice, though, Scott Air Force Base is still 32, Salem's still 31. Those numbers will come down a few more degrees, so we're all headed back into the 20s. Your freeze warning from St. Louis south and east as we drop into the low and mid-20s once you get away from town. In town, we're thinking right around 29 degrees for the early morning low tomorrow. That's still going to be a hard freeze. And more cold air is running in here tomorrow. We're reinforcing the cold air that's already here. Gusty winds will add to that chill. And a record low temperature Wednesday morning is certainly possible. The record's 26. That's what we're forecasting as the low. We'll talk about tomorrow's trick-or-treat forecast in a few minutes, Mike.
New tonight, a St. Louis couple is sharing a frightening night they had in a downtown hotel. They woke up to a bullet flying through their window. It happened right next to City Park just hours after last night's playoff game. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski is live there now. Laura.
Yeah, Mike, the Pear Tree Inn is just steps away from City Park, and the couple says they always stay there after the City SC games, and they were actually on the 9th floor when that bullet came flying into their hotel room.
Debbie and Bart Andert are big City SC fans and made a whole night of the very first playoff game.
We come down early, we get down here like 3, we go to the pep rally, we do the whole bit, and then went to the game and then came back. But yeah, we've stayed at this place every single game.
Staying right next door at the Pear Tree Inn for the full fan experience, only to get woken up 2 hours after they went to sleep.
There was just this loud boom, like just super loud, woke me up, woke my husband up. You're in a hotel, you're kind of like, you sit up. I was like, what the heck was that?
Thinking nothing of it, Debbie went back to sleep, only to wake up again hours later to another surprise, bullet fragments in her bed.
Then I pulled back the curtain, bullet perfectly shattered. So then I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. So a bullet literally went through our window, into the wall, right above where I was sleeping.
Bart says moments after the loud bang, he adjusted the thermostat just inches from where the bullet hit.
And it shattered inside and put glass all over the floor, cut up the curtain.
And give or take a few minutes, either one of them could have been hit.
They finally told us that it ricocheted off the ceiling and went to the wall. Who knows where that would have ricocheted to or what, you know. So it's very scary, very scary.
Despite what happened, the Anderts say it's not going to keep them away.
Yeah, and I feel safe. I mean, you have to have a key to get in, but it wasn't inside, it was out here. And like I said, you can't control what's on the streets, unfortunately.
St. Louis police are investigating and recovered ballistic evidence from the hotel room, but did not give us any details about what may have happened outside. The hotel declined to comment. Reporting live from downtown, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
Tonight, police are looking for this teen, wanted for second-degree murder in Maplewood. Investigators say 18-year-old Justin Vance should be considered armed and dangerous. The deadly shooting happened Thursday night near Yale and Manchester. According to court documents, Vance and a group of others demanded $400 from Taryn Vales. When he refused, the group began to attack him. Prosecutors say Vance shot Vales in the back. If you know of his whereabouts, you're asked to call Maplewood Police. That number is 314-645-3000. Tonight, a light at the end of the tunnel for striking workers at GM's Wentzville plant. After 6 weeks, their days on the picket line could soon be over. The United Auto Workers announced it has reached a tentative agreement with General Motors. This comes after framework deals with Ford and Stellantis. The 4-year deal includes a 25% pay raise, cost of living adjustments, and better retirement benefits.
We were relentless in our fight to win a record contract, and that is exactly what we accomplished. If ratified, GM salaried workers will be provided general wage increases for the first time in our history.
The agreement still has to be ratified by union members. We're told that vote could happen within the next few days. GM Chair and CEO Mary Barra released a statement tonight saying, "We are looking forward to having everyone back to work across all of our operations, delivering great products for our customers and winning as one team." A big shakeup tonight on the Decision 2024 ballot. Congresswoman Cori Bush is now facing a formidable challenger in her run for a third consecutive term. St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell announced today he's dropping his U.S. Senate bid to challenge Bush in the Democratic primary for Missouri's 1st U.S. Congressional District. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, previews this high-profile matchup.
Wesley Bell's campaign announcement couldn't possibly come at a worse time for Congresswoman Cori Bush. In recent months, she's lost her campaign manager, her chief of staff on Capitol Hill, and campaign finance records she's filed with the FEC show her campaign is more than $100,000 in debt. That's just the state of the race. Then there are the compelling storylines. Now you have Wesley Bell, a high-profile Democrat, who, like her, birthed his political career in the movement and momentum born out of Ferguson. And he's openly calling her Democratic credentials into question, challenging her for bailing on President Biden and bailing on key American allies.
Particularly in times like these, where when we look around the world with our Democratic allies in the Ukraine, our Democratic allies in Israel, looking for ways to bring about peace, and supporting our allies. We need folks in Washington, D.C. that are going to work together, that are going to stand together, but also be effective.
Congresswoman Cori Bush's new campaign manager called Bell's entrance into the race, quote, disheartening, because he's the first black man to hold his job, now running against the first black woman to hold hers.
And Mark will have much more on this development on the next edition of The Record. That airs Sunday night after Sports Plus. St. Louis native and world boxing champ Devon Alexander has new plans to battle youth violence in the city. New tonight, our Robert Townsend shows us how the professional fighter now plans to fight for the kids in hopes of keeping them on the right path.
Alexander, even one-handed, is outthrowing him by a lot.
Devon Alexander is a 3-time world boxing champion, but now the 35-year-old St. Louis native is taking his gloves off in hopes of keeping teenagers out of trouble and off the streets.
This is just a start of how we can get these kids stay busy and doing something positive.
After he graduated from Vashon High School, Alexander followed his dream to become a boxing champ. He still lives in St. Louis and says he's tired of seeing kids and teenagers commit crimes, become victims of violence, or even lose their lives.
Boxing is a tool that you can use for your attitude.
Through his foundation, Alexander has now teamed up with the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis to host quarterly boxing events for young aspiring boxers. The champ says he plans to help the boys and girls enhance their moves in the ring, give them life skills, and push them to fight in the ring, not in the neighborhoods. He says that's more than a slogan.
You want to get mad at anybody, come to the ring and knock on that bag, and it'll calm you down.
I would just want to finish boxing.
Jace Durham recently won his first championship belt during a competition in the Kansas City area.
Kim coaching me, it seems like I will understand him more, and he will help me even more.
I always knew I was coming back to help my community.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Right now, there are only 2 VIP tables left for Saturday's event at Harris Stowe. You can find more information on that and how to enroll your child in Alexander's future boxing camps at KSDK.com.
Jolene, 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 I'm back in love you, please don't take my man.
That's the pride of Foley, Missouri, 16-year-old Ruby Lee. She competed in the battle rounds of NBC's The Voice tonight. Coach Reba McEntire picked her over teammate Al Boogie to move to the knockout round. And unlike her blind audition, the yodeling teen sensation was back in Missouri to watch tonight's episode. Ruby was joined by family and fans at JP's Hideout in Cottleville for a watch party. The episode was taped weeks ago, and she's had to keep it a secret.
It's so amazing watching with my family because, you know, my mom and my sister were not there to see my battle. So them seeing it now, it's like really crazy. I'm like reliving the moment again.
Ruby has several local performances coming up, and you can catch those dates on her Facebook page. Tomorrow night, Eli Ward of Waterloo, Illinois will compete in his battle round. He's on Team Gwen, and you can watch it tomorrow night at 7. That's right here on 5 on Your Side.
They died while in police custody. Their families were told it was from excited delirium.
I never heard of that term, so you had to Google it.
Tonight, the I-Team looks into this controversial cause of death.
Many people were being misled by this term.
And the push to ban medical examiners from using it.
After feeling like December for a few days, the cold will ease by the upcoming weekend. An updated forecast for the next 10 days in just 7 minutes.
Tonight, our I-Team investigates excited delirium. It's a controversial term law enforcement sometimes uses to explain why people die while in custody. Senior investigative reporter Paula Vassan examines the arguments some make and the criticism coming from families and analysts.
Outside the home that reminds him every day of loss.
I'm always proud of him.
And heartache.
He's a better person than me.
Larry Graves tells the I-Team.
They deny liability.
Police have gotten away with murder.
It's painful. It's really painful.
4 years ago.
Free-spirited, easygoing.
He lost his only child.
Oh, he had suffered from schizophrenia for over 20 years.
A witness said he was acting erratically and threatening violence. It led to an encounter with police.
And that's where things went wrong.
He says his son, Julius Graves, was sitting at a bus stop near Forest Park. He was tasered, then injected with sedatives. Police kneed him in his midsection and held him face down on the ground. He went into cardiac arrest and died 5 days later. On the medical examiner's report, his father saw a cause of death that did not make sense.
And you saw that your son died from what's called excited delirium. What was your reaction?
I never heard of that term, so you had to Google it.
The term excited delirium is controversial. Many researchers and medical professionals argue it's racist too, a term used to describe severe agitation, superhuman strength, and sometimes sudden death in encounters with police. And researchers say it's been used for decades to help clear law enforcement of wrongdoing after someone dies in their custody. Many of the country's leading medical organizations have said excited delirium is not a diagnosis.
In early October, California became the first state to ban the term as a cause of death. But around the country, we discovered it's still being used. Our sister station, KUSA in Denver, has linked more than 150 deaths to the term since 2010, leaving people just like Graves in the dark about how and why their loved ones died.
Pat was 3 years older than I was.
Richard Burns is the exception. The I-Team talked with him at his home in Springfield, Illinois.
It's been a long struggle.
It's been 13 years since he lost his brother.
He was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man in his.
He's a white male wearing an orange shirt and no.
Patrick Burns suffered from bipolar disorder. The family's attorney tells the I-Team that on a winter day in 2010,
subject has forced entry into the residence.
He went into his neighbor's home by mistake, thinking it was his.
I don't know where they've gone now, and I'm scared.
The neighbors called police, who handcuffed him.
Suspect been tased multiple times.
Police reports show they tied his hands and feet together,
We're going to try to get him on a stretcher.
then tased him about 20 times. Police held him in a prone restraint position, or face down.
He's pretty whacked out.
It made it hard to breathe. 5 months ago, the county coroner corrected his brother's death certificate, replacing excited delirium with prone restraint asphyxia. It means police suffocated him.
Many people were being misled by this term.
It is an excuse or to harm them.
Kelly Gillespie is a St. Louis University law professor. She believes all states need to ban law enforcement and medical examiners from using excited delirium to justify forceful restraint and death.
Do you believe police are not being held accountable?
Yes, that's true. They tend to involve Black men, some of whom have serious mental illness.
Research published in 2021 found Black and Latino people accounted for 56% of reported excited delirium deaths over a 10-year period.
What's a better solution?
Systems where we have trained mental health providers to respond, right? Really robust training in de-escalation techniques.
Graves believes that would have saved his kind-hearted son.
He tried to pass out money to people and stuff. He was a good person, you know, that suffered from a horrible disease, like cancer and anything else.
Citing government data, a report released by 2 Washington, D.C. based nonprofits show the federal government has undercounted deaths in custody in 2021 alone by nearly 1,000 people. It's referred to as a black hole in our criminal justice system. For the I-Team, Paula Vassan, 5 on your side.
St. Louis police deferred us to the city medical examiner's office, which says excited delirium is rarely used as a cause of death in the city, and when it is, it's never the sole cause of death. If you'd like to get in touch with our I-Team, just leave a voice message at 314-444-5231, or you can email Paula directly at tips@ksdk.com, and all calls and correspondence will be kept confidential. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell rejoins us now with that weather first forecast, and it's going to be cold for the kids tomorrow.
Yeah, another freeze warning in effect for early tomorrow morning. Kids heading off at the bus stop. It'll be even colder than this morning when many of us dropped to or just below freezing. And going north and west of St. Louis, we saw temperatures in the upper 20s, places like Union, back towards Warrenton, even 30 degrees up in St. Paul and in the Chesterfield Valley. But it's already colder than that in a lot of spots. You're looking down in Arnold right now. Temperatures here under a clear sky with winds becoming lighter, continuing to drop this evening. Across the metro area, upper 20s to lower 30s. And in a few spots, we're already looking at colder temperatures, like that 27 down in Pacific. You get into the low spots here southwest of St. Louis, we are going to see some pockets where temperatures aren't too far from 20 degrees early tomorrow morning. This is where the core of the cold air is, right on top of us tonight. And with the winds slackening and the skies being mainly clear, we should see a hard freeze in all locations, even if you didn't see it last night. 34 degrees right now, dew point's 25, only made it to 45 degrees today. 33 was our official low this morning. Tomorrow morning, it's a different story. Low to mid 20s across much of the area in town. In the heart of the urban corridor, temperatures are in the upper 20s, but that's still a hard freeze. If you haven't disconnected your garden hose or brought those potted plants that are out there on the patio inside, you might want to do that here, especially in the city. Drain that garden hose because that'll freeze, it'll burst your hose. Now, it's not only the cold that we're dealing with. Tomorrow, the winds get gusty. With temperatures back in the lower 40s, it will only feel like it's in the low to mid 30s because we're reinforcing the cold air across the bi-state region. That's producing some snow tonight up here in Minneapolis as this next cold front surges in across the Midwest. Right now, it's coming into northwest portions of Iowa. It should slide through St. Louis during the morning hours tomorrow. We'll start in the upper 20s or so tomorrow morning, and we'll warm back to about 37, 38 degrees as we head towards lunchtime. But then after that, the colder air surging in will increase the winds across the area. Very gusty winds for us tomorrow afternoon, and that'll last into tomorrow evening. So we've said goodbye to summer 2023, I think, at this point. Wind chills will be in the 20s for the trick-or-treaters tomorrow. We drop back through the 30s. You might be wondering about the temperatures because we're only going with 43 for the high. The coldest was just a few years ago when our high was 38 degrees. but we're looking at about 43 tomorrow. And yeah, there's more. It's even colder on Wednesday morning. Temperatures could be in the upper teens in the coldest of spots. We should have a record-tying low of 26 at Lambert. We'll moderate here as we head through the rest of the week. By the weekend, we're back into the 60s. We also get that bonus hour of sleep on Saturday night. Daylight saving time rolls in here, so we set the clocks back an hour. Don't forget to change those batteries in the smoke detectors.
Warmer temperatures, more sleep. Can't complain about that.
Right.
All right, Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Tim Parker with a strong message to his team. We're talking soccer, a hit and run with Braden Shen, and Max Scherzer had an eventful night.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
A special season should not end with a sour taste. And if City SC, as the 1 seed, loses to Sporting KC, the 8 seed, in the first round of the playoffs, it just won't taste good. And I'm sure Kansas City fans won't be gracious about it. So City SC just win 2 straight and shut them up. Now, soccer fans in St. Louis had to like the team's response after falling behind early last night. Tim Parker with the goal, but it's what happened after that was the problem. So now 3 straight losses, giving up 9 goals in those games. So with the season on the line, is it tactics or execution, Tim Parker?
Just giving 10% more. You know, I mean, you look at it now, I mean, next week is do or die, you know, no questions about it. I mean, we have to win that next game, and we have to bring the third game back to City Parks.
Game 3 of the World Series. Here's the best player in the American League, not named Shohei Ohtani. Corey Seager, a 2-run blast. 3-0 Rangers in the 3rd inning. The pride of Parkway Central, Max Scherzer, was sailing along with 3 scoreless innings for the Rangers. But when you're 39 and you're throwing a baseball 94 miles an hour, the body breaks down. He left the game with back tightness. Rangers win 3-1. They lead the series 2-1. The odds makers are showing Mizzou very little respect. Georgia is a 16.5-point favorite Saturday against the 14th-ranked Tigers. The Bulldogs have gone back-to-back, and their 25-game win streak is the longest in SEC history. You win this game, I think it's the University of Missouri's proudest athletic accomplishment. You beat Kansas on a neutral field, and the Oklahoma game was in Columbia. And basketball-wise, never a Final Four. This is it, so just win the game. Like the Detroit St. Louis Lions hosting the Raiders tonight in Monday Night Football. They have 4 St. Louis kids on the roster, including the pride of Edwardsville, Riley Patterson, 4 field goals, 1 for my fantasy team, the Stallions, another game. Speaking of Italian Stallions, Sam Laporta, the pride of Highland, caught another touchdown from Jared Goff. He's 22. He had 8 catches for 57 yards. Lions win 26-14. We often play hit and run with a sports celebrity, and being the captain of the St. Louis Blues qualifies you. Tonight, it's no hedging for Braden Shen. One teammate you would want protecting your family.
Rob Bertuzzo.
Romantic dinner with your wife. Where do you go in St. Louis?
We go to Louis on Demand, Cafe Napoli. That's in the area. Tony's a good guy, neighbor of mine.
No hockey in this world. You would have done what?
I would say firefighter. My dad was a firefighter. I think that's kind of has the team aspect of it, and guys and girls that play sports, and I'd be a firefighter.
Roughly, how many texts after you won the Cup as opposed to how many texts after you became captain?
Cup, probably more, but I want to say captain, overwhelming support, and I would say 300 to 350.
Final thought, when you play your last game here, say in 5 years, how would you like to be remembered?
Just a guy that played hard every night, stuck up for his teammates, and do it at both ends. And, when you're coming to watch me play or the Blues play, if they look at number 10, they know that he's giving his best effort, whether he had his A game or not.
He is a heck of a hockey player, and his teammates love him.
All right, Frank, thanks. Teal, purple, and blue are the new orange. Tonight we're decoding the colors of Halloween pumpkins. Trick-or-treaters will be out tomorrow night for Halloween, and you may encounter pumpkins that are not orange. If you see a child with a teal pumpkin, it means they have a food allergy. A home with a teal pumpkin outside signifies they have a treat for all kids. A purple pumpkin raises awareness for epilepsy And if you see a child with a blue pumpkin, it means they have autism or a sensory processing disorder. They may have trouble saying trick or treat or thank you and have sensitivities to costumes and decorations. And those trick-or-treaters will probably need coats, Scott.
Coats, gloves. I'd make a hat as part of the costume if you could, especially one that would cover your ears because it's going to be a cold evening. The breeze is still up through the evening hours. Wind chills dropping into the 20s. Actual temperatures are in the 30s when the kids are out trick-or-treating. The good news is it's dry tomorrow evening, but boy, is it going to be cold. Not the coldest ever, but less than pleasant, Mike.
Yeah. And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next. Don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis, beginning at 4 a.m. And have a great tomorrow.